Now, another prompting technique I can recommend, because it can sometimes be useful, is perspective prompting, where the idea simply is that you let ChatGPT assume different perspectives as it generates its response and its output. Now, the default pretty much is for ChatGPT to use no specific perspective. Like, for example, when you ask ChatGPT to create a travel plan for a 2-week yoga retreat in Austria. Here, I'm not asking for any specific perspective, and therefore I might get a fairly standard response. Now, the response I got here is actually not too bad, and could of course be fine-tuned by adding more information to the original prompt. We could add more details, we could add a role here, we could do all these things about which we learned. But we can also use this perspective prompting technique to let ChatGPT take on a certain perspective. For example, a single perspective, which in the end is assumed because of us engineering the prompt in a certain way. Here, for example, we could tell ChatGPT that it should create this travel plan from the perspective of a yoga trainer. Now, if we do that, we also get a plan, but now a plan that's meant to be used by a yoga trainer. And suddenly, it's a totally different plan. At least here for me, as always, when you run the exact same prompt, you might still get different results. But it's now a different plan meant to be used by the person who's hosting the yoga retreat. Now, of course, in the end, this is just us adding a role to the prompt though, just written in a slightly different way. We probably could have also written the prompt like this, where we tell ChatGPT that it should act as a yoga trainer. So in the end, by assigning a role, we already used this perspective prompting technique by giving ChatGPT a special perspective which it should use for generating the prompt. Now, the new thing is that you can also use multiple perspectives for generating the response. Again, by using prompt engineering. And an example would be to let ChatGPT have a discussion about a certain topic. Or in this case, create different plans for different people. For example, for people who like yoga and people who have to travel together with the people that do yoga but who don't like yoga themselves. Another example could be this prompt here, where we use ChatGPT to take on different perspectives on a given topic, in this case traveling by plane, to then have a discussion on this topic. And this could then help us argue with our friends, or preparing a blog post, or arguing with people on the internet, which is always a great idea. So this is also something we can do with ChatGPT. And the whole idea behind this perspective prompting thing, therefore in the end, simply is to ensure that you are aware of the fact that you can let ChatGPT take on different perspectives, either by assigning a single role or by not specifying any special role at all if you don't want any specific perspective, or, as I just showed you, by setting multiple perspectives, which definitely does not make sense for all prompts and all problems you might want to solve with ChatGPT, but which can be amazing for certain selected problems. Like this discussion here on traveling by plane.